right, first things first. Who was here last year for the Rich Mullins tribute? Raise your hand, or clap, respond somehow. Good. I'm glad you're here. This is the second annual Rich Mullins Memorial Tribute here at the Lighthouse Coffeehouse, and we're glad you're here. We hope to have a very memorable evening as we remember Rich and his music and so on and so forth. I want to introduce to you someone, my co-host for the Lighthouse tonight. Would you welcome to the stage Gary Chapman?
Thank you.
I am very afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Folks, I highly recommend a book to you. It's the Rich Mullins devotional biography. Have you seen this? Have you read this?
No, but I'm willing.
Broadman Holman. I'll get you a copy. We'll take care of that. Written by a guy who actually was with us last year, James Bryan Smith. And I read this introduction last year, too, or part of it. And I want to remind us about tonight. We learned a word last year. It was hagiography. A hagiography. Do you know what that is?
Sorry, no.
That's right. You haven't read the book yet. It's an attempt to turn into a saint. Well, that certainly wasn't our Rich, was it?
No.
No. Because Rich would want to be the first to say, I'm not perfect, don't put me on a pedestal, I'm just a ragamuffin, look to God, not to me. Can we do that tonight, please? With our musical guest that'll be bringing some music to us, and we'll introduce some other folks to you in just a little bit. Bring the first person out.
I don't know who it is.
It's a guy. It's a hint.
It's a guy.
Yeah, no, not the performer. How many guys are back there with guitars?
There's just the one, actually.
That's
okay.
I thought I'd make it easy on you.
All right. No, actually, what I'm here for is I'm supposed to have just some comedic relief, because otherwise it'll get just too maudlin too quickly if Brian's left to his own devices.
Yeah.
He'll start weeping, and we can't. We'll get to that. We'll have that. I'm sure we'll have that moment at some point.
That'll come up, and we'll turn your mic off at that point.
It's a great shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yours too. I like yours too.
Doing the old WWRW thing. Yes. For the what would Rich wear? For the... Okay, this guy's fabulous. I hadn't seen him in a while. I'm glad to see him again. Billy Sprague.
Billy Sprague.
Come on out, bud. Hey, baby.
By the way, the theme for tonight, last year, if you were here, we had the Ragamuffins. We got them together, Phil Kagi, Ashley Cleveland, Mitch McVicker. We had a great time. Tonight, we're focusing on Rich's early recording career, the early years, the reunion record years. And so if you pick up a theme here, this is why. The next lady bringing out to the stage was definitely a part of those years, and one of my favorite voices in Christian music in general at all. Would you welcome Kim Hill to the stage, please?
And we need her because, I mean, I love you, Kim, but I'm telling you, this girl, she doesn't play guitar like a girl.
Exactly.
You know?
She rocks.
Yeah. Girls can tend to be a little bit tentative. That kind of thing.
And she also traveled the farthest to be here tonight.
That's true.
Safely.
It's Carolyn Arends. She plays like a guy. Come on. Did you come all the way from where you come from?
I did.
Just for this, really? Vancouver to here? Wow.
That's just west of Pegram, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, yeah.
Gary and I are going to leave the stage for a little bit. We've got some videos to show you, some footage nobody has ever seen, I guarantee, except for a couple of people in the house tonight that Reed Arvin has graciously loaned to us for tonight. And we'll talk to Reed and some other folks from Reunion Records. But now, we got to say,
Can I introduce Steve?
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
This is Steve Latanation back here on this
Providing
little
percussion for us, yes.
Steve actually played with Rich kind of in the later years, and then played with the Ragamuffins, I think, after Rich's death for a while. And Steve goes out.
We opened for the Pope.
They opened for the Pope.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, in 2000.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
That's very cool.
Kind of like tonight.
So that's what happened.
Billy's on my guitar, so he's trying to find it. There we go. Is that it? All right.
Good evening.
I wanted to tell a little quick story about Awesome God. When I first signed with Reunion, Jeff Mosley asked me to go out to the studio to sing in this choir with a bunch of people, and I had never been in a studio at all. And so I went out there with Jeff, not knowing that we'd be making a little history singing on Awesome God. And so it was really cool to get to be in that choir that day. And I had no clue what we were doing, but it was really fun. And this is obviously one of the most recognizable songs of Rich's, and we just kind of want to kick off the night with this. So feel free to jump on in and sing with us. We're going to give it a whirl here. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. When it rolls up its sleeves, the angels putting on the Ritz. Our God is an awesome God. There's thunder in its footsteps and lightning in its fists. Our God is an awesome God. No, the Lord wasn't joking when he kicked him out of Eden. It wasn't for no reason that he shed his blood. His return is very close, and so you better be believing. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. When the sky was starless in the void of the night, our God is an awesome God. He spoke into the darkness and created the light. Our God is an awesome God. The judgment and wrath he poured out on Sodom, the mercy and grace he gave us at the cross. I hope that we have not too quickly forgotten that our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God.
Don Donohue, come up here a second. Where are you? Don Donohue, father of many nations. Tonight, anyway. Oh, if you step on that step, I'm stepping up on this step. Your part in Reunion Records back in these days was what?
I was the director of A&R, brought in 1990. Now I'm nervous.
I was there.
Yeah.
I saw you direct an A&R.
All right, I'm going to sit with you. Was a lot of artists helped me, let me help in the studio and things like that. Obviously, with Rich and Reed running the show, they didn't need very much help, but I got to be along for kind of the ride of a lifetime for 6 years.
And describe what is A&R. I mean, that's the term to people.
A lot of people say airports and restaurants, but it's artists and their repertoire. So it's kind of shaping the entire artist package. And
Spell repertoire.
I know it's got an OI in it. At a place like Reunion, that was, to me, kind of the the quintessential artist label, it was a pretty easy job because they came in ready to go, and then songs would get handed to a guy like Reed Arvin to make into just masterpieces with Rich. So basically it would be Rich coming in and playing me just because he was supposed to, 4 lines from a song and say, trust me, it'll get great. So, and I'd say, okay, and Reed would say, how much money do we have? And then we'd go in the studio and make a record.
That's the formula. Were there any points that you really were scared that you said, there's no way we're coming out of this alive kind of a thing, as far as Rich was concerned? I mean, the other artists are here. You take Gary's mic there.
Thank you. I do know, and I don't want to step on Reed if he's got anything to say, but when we went to make the Liturgy, Legacy, and Ragamuffin Band, we made that at a studio that Bill Gaither owns in Alexandria, Indiana, and it was a rough start because there was nothing to do in Alexandria, Indiana at all. There was a holodome, a cheeseburger place, and with these guys, that was the first incarnation of the Ragamuffin Band. And they really wanted to have fun, they wanted to do other things, but in the meantime, we were stuck in the studio for 14 to 16 hours a day, and it was a little stressful beginning. Then, of course, being the good record company guy that I am, I got to go home after about 3 days. And then they came back 2 or 3 weeks later with what turned out to be, to me, Rich's masterpiece.
Do you have a favorite story of working with Rich?
Well, this one's pretty good. I actually went to Wes and Fran King's wedding in North Carolina, Asheville. And my wife and I were walking along a street, and I saw a Mountain Instrument store, and I called Terry Hemmings, the president of Reunion, and said, I've just seen the most beautiful dulcimer. I've got to buy it for Rich. I'm sure he said no, and I bought it anyway. So I bought it. We were presenting it to Rich at a #1 party or something, and I grew up in a family of overly enthusiastic gift openers. So it didn't matter about the gift. What mattered was your reaction to the gift. So when we took the sheet off of the dulcimer, Rich, being Rich, said, oh, neat. And he went on to something else, and I said, wait a minute, I'm going to get fired because I spent money that I wasn't supposed to spend, and I've got to have a little better reaction than that. And so he turned around and gave me the sloppiest male kiss of my life, and it was caught on film. So I'm glad for that picture. And
you look like you're enjoying it.
Yes.
No, really, my body language is saying, get away right now. You don't smell that good. The other one just that comes to mind quickly that I love to tell is the fact that Rich was quoted as saying many times that he never wrote his lyrics down because he didn't believe that if you had to write it down that it was worth remembering, that it was worth singing. So when we would get done with a record, he would come into the office and sit down and dictate the record to me for me to type, to give to the art department to put into the packaging. And the first record or two, I did not believe it. But he'd sit down and he'd have about 3 Diet Cokes and he'd pop one open and he'd go, okay, first song, first side, because he always wrote his records and they were already sequenced. And he would go through and he would give you the lines of every song because he never wrote one down because he thought if you have to write it down, it must not be that good.
Don Donohue, folks. He's going to be back in the second half of the show. I've lost my run sheet. I don't know what's next. I should just ask. Mr. Sprague, one of my favorite Rich Mullins songs. Folks, Billy Sprague.
Hello. Actually, I met Rich a long time ago. My real name is Herschel Digby. And we went to school together, and he would call me for help on lyrics, and I did the best I could. There's a lot of things working against me, but I know I can't lose. There's a lot of things working against me, but I know I can't lose. There's still a lot of miles between me and my home. Learned a lot through the years, and now I'm much more than young. There's a lot of things working against me, but I know I can't lose. There's a lot of love locked up inside me. I'm learning to give. There's a lot of love locked up inside me. I'm learning to give. So like that bush in Sinai that burned but was not consumed, may the speed of my life throw sparks on the shadow of the tomb. There's a lot of love locked up inside me. I'm learning to give. So hold on to my hand. Hold on to my hand. I need a place to run to and a place to stand. There's a lot of things hidden in this world that I'm learning to see. There's a lot of things hidden in this world I'm learning to see for the first time. I've seen some injustice, seen sweet mercy too. I was blinded by the things I saw till I looked at you. There's a lot of things hidden in this world I'm learning to see. So hold on to my hand. Hold on to my hand. I need a place to run to and a place to stand. Oh. So hold on to my hand. Hold on to my hand. I need a place to run to. Hold on to my hand. Hold on to my hand. I need a place to run to and a place to stand. There's a lot of things working against me, but I know I can't lose. You had a lot of love locked up inside you, buddy. You were learning to give. Learning to give.
Thanks, Billy. Mr. Chapman, would you describe Terry Hemmings to the audience?
Sure, I will. Terry's about the most anal human being I think I've ever seen in my life.
Thanks for being here.
He is absolutely fastidious to just a ridiculous degree. He's not here. He didn't actually.
I was going to say, you don't have to be afraid. He's not here.
He did a video thing, and he was maybe going to show up. Absolute truth. If you go into his house tonight and walk in to where he keeps his clothes, and you open up the drawer where he keeps his boxers, there'll
How
be.
do you know this?
I just happen to know this because
Okay.
I've many times messed it up. He'll have a blue and white stripe with the elastic at this end, and then alternated with a solid white with the elastic at this end so it won't get too tall on one side. That's the absolute truth. That's Terry. Okay. And on top of that, he's just one of the most wonderful, wonderful, loving people. And he took a lot of us under his wing. I mean, he was was and is a great friend of mine, but I saw his heart for people like Rich and Billy and Kim. I mean, all of us.
He didn't really like me.
No, he didn't like you that much. That's true. You threatened him because you could kick his butt.
He did not like me. I mean, really didn't. I think I'm too opposite of him or something.
Yeah, well, yeah.
None of my drawers look like that.
I don't even want to know about it. Yeah. But he's probably a frustrated artist somewhere deep inside there, and his way of expressing it was to give a vehicle to some wonderful, wonderful artists that happened to cross his path, and he loved Rich an awful lot.
From 1987 until 1996, Terry was the president and CEO of Reunion Records. Terry was not going to be able to be here tonight. He may show up. Of course, now after Gary's story, he won't acknowledge. He'll be the guy in the back with the sunglasses.
If he's here, just ask him if it's a striped or a solid day.
Yeah.
When you see him.
I asked him in a video interview we did earlier this week. I said, do you remember the first time you met Rich? Run that clip.
First time I met him, he had Jeff Mosley and I were sharing an office at Reunion because we crammed into our old building. And Rich came in fresh off his trip from Thailand, or to Thailand, where he had been teaching farmers how to grow rice. And he was telling us some good stories, but also some kind of odd ones, like, you know, how you use the facilities in the woods, and they had to take sticks to beat off the wild boars, you know, when they would walk through the woods. And typical Rich, you know, colorful kind of presentation. But that was the very first time I met him, and it scared me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lighthouse stage. Her song, here's Carolyn Arends.
Thanks. I'm going to start with a newer song of Rich's, but it's anybody who knows him knows he wasn't particularly a materialistic kind of guy. He liked instruments and books. That was about it. I think he wore the same sweater on the tour I was on 90% of the shows. And he was not known for his fabulous homes. Many of you know he ended up living in a trailer on a reservation when I knew him. I think he eventually built some kind of traditional home there. But anyways, when I heard this song, it all started to make sense. Oh, you did not have a home. There were places you visited frequently. Took off your shoes and scratched your feet, 'cause you knew that the whole world belongs to me. But you did not have a home. No, you did not have a home. And you did not take a wife. There were pretty maids all in a row, lined up to touch the hem of your robe, but you had no place to take them, so you did not take a wife. No, you did not take a wife. Birds have nests, foxes have dens, but the hope of the whole world rests on the shoulders of a homeless man. You did not have a home. Well, you had no stones to throw. You didn't come with an axe to grind. You did not toe the party line. No wonder sight came to the blind. You had no stones to throw. Oh, you had no stones to throw. And you rode an ass's foal. They spread their coats and cut down palms for you and your donkey to walk upon, but the world can't find what it thinks it wants on the back of an ass's foal. So I guess you had to get sold. And the world can't stand what it can't own, and it can't own you, 'cause you did not have a home. Birds have nests, foxes have dens, but the hope of the whole world rests on the shoulders of a homeless man. Shoulders of a homeless man. You did not have a birds have nests, foxes have dens, but the hope of the whole world rests on the shoulders of a homeless man. Shoulders of a homeless man. And the world can't stand what it can't own, and it can't own you because you did not have a home. I said the world can't stand what it cannot own, and it can't own you because you did not have a home. No, you did not have a home. No, you did not have a home.
Thanks, Carolyn. I want to introduce a guy now very integral to the process here tonight, a guy by the name of Reed Arvin. Welcome him to the Lighthouse stage. Reed produced the first, 8 records? The first bunch of Rich Mullins stuff that you heard. And I'm going to stand on the steps so I can be the same level as Reed. That works best for me.
He's a big one.
Yes, he is. Do you remember your first encounter with Mr. Mullins?
I do. I was playing with Amy. We were on tour, and he had written some Amy songs. And I think we were in Cincinnati, and I saw him backstage, and I had no idea at that moment that our paths were really going to cross in any meaningful way because I was just playing keyboards with Amy. But I remember it was summer, and he had on a big coat, like some kind of big raincoat kind of thing. And he was watching the whole thing. I just remember he had a real bemused expression on his face. Because the Amy thing was kind of a big machine, and Rich had never been a part of anything like that. And so at that day, I had no idea that for years and years we would make music together. But I do remember meeting him that day. It was great.
You prepared something?
Well, it's so intimidating to speak in front of people like this who spend their whole lives in front of microphones, and they just they can sham-a-lam a ding-dong with no problem. But you're now going to find out why I was on the other side of the glass. But anyway, I did write a short little thing about this little video we're going to see. It's so good to get together to celebrate Rich's life. And I get the feeling that we're doing more than celebrating his music here, although certainly that's what draws us together. But Rich's life answers a question that we all think about from time to time. What would we do if we lived as though we actually believed the Bible? All of it. Even the weird, demanding, completely out of step parts. And by answering that question, Rich's life is both an inspiration and a cautionary tale. He lived with extraordinary freedom from many earthly concerns. He also lived in the loneliness of a personality that could be polarizing and confrontational. It's important to remember that living like you believe the Bible doesn't mean you don't sin. And Rich was a fantastic sinner, like most prophets. As an aside, you were reminding me the other day, Brian, that people are often put off by the fact that Rich smoked and drank. And when people would ask me, what about Rich's drinking and smoking? And I was always say, God, if those were the only problems. It's so easy. Anyway.
He should get with Hemmings.
Yeah. Everybody on here could totally blow everybody else out of the water with something they know. So anyway.
Let's do that, shall we?
No, let's not.
See you at the next year's Lighthouse. For the Rich Mullins.
Hemmings has already been blown out of the water with the underwear stuff. Anyway, getting back to the prepared remarks. It's no surprise that Rich identified so much with Elijah. That dude had some serious mood swings. And like Rich, Elijah wasn't always consistent. Right after Elijah kicked booty with the prophets of Baal in that big fire and rain contest, winning the WWF SmackDown of prophetic trash talk with lines like, "What's the matter? Your God's gone on vacation?" Elijah got so freaked out by Jezebel that he went and hid in a cave for 2 years. And somehow that sounds like something Rich would have done too. I can just hear him, well, you shouldn't have got involved with the woman. Rich loved being famous, but he was also embarrassed by it. I think what looked like a love-hate relationship with the music business was partly a love-shame relationship with being well-known and highly regarded. He held two contradictory ideas in his head at once. Of course I'm famous, and I'm completely unworthy to receive all this attention. And locked between those two, he wrote his music and lived his life. He was a brilliant lyricist. He moved us profoundly, but you don't need me to hear me say that since you already know that part. But he also had some quirky talents of which you may not be aware. And thanks to some old videotape I found, this can now be proved. During the making of The World as Best as I Remember It, I videotaped Rich in the studio. I have never revealed this to anyone because I didn't want some record company asking me if they could use it to make a buck. Not that I personally have anything against making a buck. But I know that Rich would hate the idea of using the video this way, and that seemed like the thing to keep in mind. So when Brian asked me to be here, I thought perhaps it would be nice to see a little bit of it, and I gave it to him, and he edited some fragments together, the first of which illustrates a little-known talent of Rich's. Very few people know that Rich could draw freehand on a blank sheet of paper a map of the United States, with all of the state names and borders in their appropriate locations. He claimed this ability all the time, and I was highly skeptical. I mean, filling in the names on a map with the states already drawn in was one thing, although it's a lot harder than you think to really do. But to draw the states from memory with all the squiggly lines, the way all the states fit together with no template to work from, that seemed like a stretch. So finally I called his bluff by getting out a notebook, thrusting it in front of him and saying, "Okay, hotshot, do it." At which point he proceeded to do just that. Incidentally, this videotape also illustrates that I appear to have only owned one shirt during the making of this record. Because every time the tape is on me, I seem to be wearing it. I actually owned more than one shirt.
It takes trying to relate to Rich.
Exactly. It took 2 or 3 months to make the record, so it was just a fluke of the editing, I guess. But at any rate, it actually took Rich about 15 minutes to draw the map, and you might not want to sit here that long while he figures out exactly where Arizona goes. So I understand that Brian has sped things up a little bit and underscored it with the music of Flight of the Bumblebee. He also did this, although he won't admit it publicly, to cover up Rich's choice comments about each state as he draws it in. Texas, as I recall, came in for some particularly juicy commentary. Enjoy.
Yes. Oops. There you go. Rich and his talents. Go figure.
I want to hear the stuff.
I do too.
I really want to hear
Next year's. Come back for next year's. We'll do that. Oh yeah, there were some tender moments. Let me assure you. We'll get some more videos. In fact, the mini shirt of Reed Arvin comes up in clips a little bit later on. We'll see some in the studio kind of stuff. You know, I'll explain later. You hear the records, and then you're going to get to see some of it being made. And it made me run out and go get the CD again and listen to it because I didn't realize that stuff was in there. But you'll get to see that.
You know what I was going to say, Brian? Were you going to say something else?
No, I was going to say Kim Hill.
Well,
What?
I was just thinking about this. You know what's so cool about the fact that Reed and Rich work together, from my vantage point, is, and I heard Rich say this one time. He said, you know, Reed was able to take his quirks and make them listenable for us. And you know, when I listened to Rich's music, especially just getting ready to do this, I was thinking about, you know, what an awesome thing it was that God put you guys together, because so many other people could have so mishandled Rich and could have tried to smooth out too many things and make it too slick and all that. And I just think it's such a cool thing that you were able to take his quirkiness and make it work. And we've been laughing about how hard it is to sing these songs because, you know, he has so many words in and we have to try to squeeze them in. But y'all made it work, and I think that's such a cool thing and such a testament to you, Reed. So anyway,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Kim, take it.
This is one of my favorite Rich songs. If I stand, with a little help from my friends up here, who didn't know I couldn't play my songs tonight and had to learn them at sound check. So. There's more than rises in the morning than the sun, more that shines in the night than just the moon. It's more than just this fire here that keeps me warm, and the shelter that is larger than this room. And there's a loyalty that's deeper than mere sentiments, and a music higher than the songs that I can sing. Stuff of earth competes for the allegiance. We owe only to the giver of good things. So if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. And if I can, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that has born in me these songs. And if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home. There's more than dances on the prairies than the wind, more that pulses in the ocean than the tide. There's a love that's fiercer between friends, more gentle than a mother's when a baby's at her side. And there's a loyalty that's deeper than mere sentiment, and a music higher than the songs that I can sing. Stuff of earth competes for the allegiance. I owe only to the giver of all good things. So if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. And if I can, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that is born in me these songs. And if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home. 'Cause if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. And if I can't remember this part, sorry, that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that is born in me these songs. And if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home. And if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home.
I love that song.
Isn't that a great song?
It is.
But you know what's funny, Brian, is when you asked me about doing this, I'm like, oh yeah, I know tons of Rich songs. But it's like, you know, the chorus, But you don't really. I like know the chorus of tons of Rich's songs, but I don't know all the rest
Well,
of it.
we'll have chorus night
I know.
in 2 years.
Please invite me back when you have chorus night.
Well, we have chorus night.
I think
We
I could
can
do a
do
little better then.
1995, I think it was. Connie, you were helping me remember this. This was GMA Sunday, 94 or 95? What did we decide? 95, I think it was. Was that the year that The Light Inside came out, your album?
I couldn't even begin to tell you that.
Oh, that's right. I'm the date guy. I know all the dates. Reunion Records held a special gathering for radio people for GMA on the General Jackson. Now, am I bringing you around now?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Gary, this predated Sam's Place. You hosted this event, and all of the reunion artists performed.
Right.
And you remember a couple even wanted to get married. Do you remember that?
Yep. We stopped them.
Oh, you had your purpose set on that cruise as well. When you introduced Rich, it was especially poignant. The next day was GMA Sunday, and typically I have a bunch of artists on the show on that particular Sunday morning. And Rich was in the studio, and you phoned in that day. We're going to listen for a moment. Run that audio clip.
I'm sorry, Rich.
No, I thought it was great.
You know what? I went over the edge, and I apologize.
Oh, no, I liked it.
I don't think you would have been an axe murderer if you weren't a Christian.
Well, don't say. Tell what you said. Tell our listening audience.
I'm not sure I remember. The reason that stuff works is because I don't think about it.
And you can repent and ask for a forgiveness letter.
No, it was something to the effect of, I don't know about you guys, but I still have enough fear in my heart that I struggle sometimes with being completely honest. Sometimes I get caught trying to say what I think you want to hear instead of what I really believe. And our next guest does not suffer under that particular malady.
I laughed last night, too, just like I did right there. It just came out.
That was good, wasn't it?
And you also...
It was very good.
I got instant recall.
I thought that you did it word for word.
That's very good.
Because it's scarred me so deeply, I will never forget it.
And then I thank God that he's a Christian, because if he wasn't, he'd probably be an axe murderer.
That's a sweet thing to say about someone.
That's right. What a spiritual moment that was. And, of course, Rich said the pay's better being a Christian artist.
Not a lot better, but that was an exaggeration. But, when you're doing a concert, the truth sometimes is bigger than the facts.
This is true.
I was talking in a spiritual sense.
Oh, absolutely.
I do that all the time.
As you normally do.
We got that. We did understand that. Well, Mr. Chapman, we wish you were here this morning.
I wish I was. I planned on it, but I kind of woke up in domestic madness. And by the time I got the baby's diaper changed and I put on her new Depends for the day, it was the morning was gone.
Such was your life.
Yeah. Well,
what are you going to say?
Kids aren't in diapers anymore.
And?
That's all I'm saying.
If Terry were here... Oh, Mr. Sprague, you chose the song Sometimes by Step.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I sing it a lot at different places, and I hear it a lot. And one of the things I heard from Rich most, I really envious that I never got to go on the road with him and spend the kind of time that Reed did. And whenever he would come into town, sometimes he would stay with us, some single guys, and he would sleep on the couch, and I would hear him. It was amazing to hear him. I had an old upright piano at night, and you would hear him in there, and it would just call you away. It was amazing. And like as a songwriter, I wanted to sneak out and go, you working on something? But every time I would, he'd go, want to hear a new song? Like a kid, want to hear a new song? And I know that when I see him in heaven, that's probably the first thing he's going to say. Want to hear a new song? And in the background, all heaven will be singing this song, and God will be saying, let's do that one again. And Rich will turn to God and say, you want to hear a new song? Sometimes the night was beautiful. Sometimes the sky was so far away. Sometimes it seemed to steep so close. You could touch it, but your heart would break. Sometimes the morning came too soon. Sometimes the day could be so hot. There was so much work left to do, so much you'd already done. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Help us. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways. And step by step you'll lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. Sometimes I think of Abraham and how one star sought for me. He was a stranger in this land, and I am no less that than he. And on this road to righteousness, sometimes the climb can be so steep. I may falter in my steps, but never beyond your reach. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways. And step by step you'll lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. And I will follow you all of my days. And I will follow you all of my days. And step by step you'll lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. And I will follow you all of my days. And I will follow you all of my days. Sometimes the night was beautiful. Oh, sometimes the night was beautiful. It was beautiful. It's amazing to me sometimes. Rich wrote like he had been here, like he wasn't here.
Very true. I want to show some more video footage, just a real short clip. We're going to take a break in just a couple of minutes, a little intermission. Back to Reed's tape he so graciously shared with us. And by the way, before I forget, thank you to my nephew, Kelly Napier, who's here tonight, who helped me edit all this footage down. And Kelly, I couldn't have done this without your help. Thank you so much. Signature sound for Rich Mullins, hammer dulcimer. That was his. You can't hear one without thinking about Rich. And there's just a little clip just Don. I think did we agree that Don? It was probably Don Donohue holding the camera probably during this taping. Hey, tell me afterwards. Okay, let's roll this one.
Well, would you stop fooling around with my headphones? It makes me dizzy. I'm trying to sit up straight.
Hey, you know how they do those? Hey, play it again. Here's how they do in the big movies, man. Watch this. Watch this.
Was that you? That was real. Right. Oh, yeah, right. All right, folks, before we take a break, got another song from Carolyn Arends. Carolyn, you toured with Rich and Ashley Cleveland on the Brothers Keeper tour, and you said something on the radio when you called in Sunday morning. What did you, that was like your first?
Yeah, it was my first time doing anything. We started the tour before my first album came out. It came out during the tour.
I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
So you were
She was
introduced
baptized
to
in fire.
I was. It was.
We want stories.
You were introduced to the road by Rich Mullins?
I was. I didn't realize that most tours go out in buses. We were out in his Jeep, and I was in a van with the Ragamuffins. I should have a T-shirt. I was in the van with the Ragamuffins, and I lived to tell the story.
What did that smell like?
It's taken a lot of therapy to block
Okay,
that out. I'd rather not remember.
She went to Canada. I mean, of all things. Wow. Get away.
No, it was in a way it kind of ruined me because to go out with somebody who gave no concern to like career considerations, completely unpretentious, completely after God's heart, completely open and available to every fan and every little opening act, new artist. It kind of spoiled me for anything else in many ways.
Do your song.
All right. This is about a year before Rich died. Reunion put out a first greatest hits record on Rich, and they had this concert at a little place, I forget the name of it, and had a bunch of people in tribute each do one of Rich's songs, and it was great because you could never give Rich a compliment. He'd always just kind of walk away before you could get it out. And at this event, he was forced to sit in his seat and let you say nice things about him. So that was great, and I picked this song, and I picked it because it illustrates three of the things that I loved most about Rich. First of all, it illustrates what Reed was talking about earlier, Rich's relationship to the Bible. When I met Rich, I'd grown up with the Bible, and I'd gotten a little blasé about it, and I kind of took it in the morning like a vitamin because it was good for me. And hanging out with Rich, I realized this guy, I thought that book was the most fascinating, funniest, weirdest, amazing book of stories, which of course it is. And then it also, I think, the song shows Rich's completely poetic gift with words, which we've talked about a lot. And it also, the third reason I love it is it shows how weird he was. And sometimes I have regretted, I ended up recording this song for the tribute album that a bunch of us did. And at least about once a month, I get an email from somebody asking me to explain the lyrics in this song. And I have to write back and say, I said I liked it. I didn't say I understood it. So here it is. Well, Jacob, he loved Rachel. Rachel, she loved him. And Leah was just there for dramatic effect. Well, it's right there in the Bible, so it must not be a sin. But it sure does seem like an awful dirty trick. And her sky is just a petal pressed in the book of old memory of the time he thought he loved her and they kissed.
And her friends say, he's a devil. But she says, no, he is a dream. And this is the world as best as I can remember it. La 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 la. Jacob got 2 women and a whole house full of kids, and he schemed his way back to the promised land. And he's finding it's one thing to win him, it's another thing to keep him content when he knows that he is only just one man. And his sky's an empty bottle, and when he's drunk the ocean dry. He seals off 3 sheets to some reckless whim. And his friends say, ain't it awful? But he says, no, I think it's fine. And this is the world as best as I can remember it. Na 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 na. Rachel's weeping for the children that she thought she could not bear, and she bears a sorrow that she cannot hide. She wishes she was with them, but she looks and they're not there. Seems love comes for just a moment, then it passes on by. Their sky is just a bandit swinging on the end of a hangman's noose. 'Cause he stole the moon and must be made to pay for it. And her friends say, my, that's tragic. She says, especially for the moon. And this is the world as best as I can remember it. This is the world as best as I can remember it. This is the world as best as I can remember it. Na, 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 na,
Excellent job. Let's take a 15-minute break. Lots of food. I think you haven't had a college degree to get in Rich's band. I'm pretty sure that's right. Man, that's amazing. Of course, this screen door. Did you have something? Do you remember we saw him do that at Exit In one night?
Yeah.
That was weird.
It's pretty amazing.
Of course, there was stuff floating around in Exit In anyway that just made it even weirder.
Even stranger.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
even stranger.
I had a giant question answered for me just now.
What?
Back here backstage. Hey, how's it going, bud? There's a room back there that actually has a sign that says God Toilet. If you just look at it.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like that's what it. You go in there. I'm sorry, ladies. The seat was up.
Yeah, baby.
That's all I'm saying. It was up.
That's. I'm a follower.
The college I went to, there were 3 stalls in the men's room. They were labeled first, second, third John. Bible college.
Yes.
We got videos. We got some more video footage we're going to see from Reed's vast collection. Another interview clip with Terry Hemmings, which I'll never look at the same way again after tonight. Oh, man. And lots more great music from these old friends of Rich's, old label mates. Of course, Gary Chapman, my co-host tonight. Yes, indeed. Carolyn, Arends, Kim Hill, Billy Sprague, and some help on percussions from Steve Latanations. How did I do? I did it. All right.
Yes.
Who's next? Whose song's next? Kim?
I think it's me with a lot of help from my friends.
I think so, too. Kim Hill, folks.
This is one of those songs that I thought I knew, but I hope y'all know it, because y'all can all sing along. It's a very cool song, but it has so many words. It's like a lot of words.
I'll jump in the 5th verse.
Yeah, please do. All right. good, Gary.
I know this.
I believe in God the Father, Almighty maker of heaven, maker of earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son, our Lord. He was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate. He was crucified and dead and buried, and I believe in what I believe. It's what makes me who I am. I did not make it, no, it is making me. It is the very truth of God and not the invention of any man. I believe that he who suffered was crucified, buried, and dead. He descended into hell on the third day. On the third day he rose again. He ascended into heaven, where he sits at God's mighty right hand. I believe that he's returning to judge the quick and the dead and the sons of men. I believe what I believe is what makes me who I am. I did not make it, no, it is making me. It's the very truth of God and not the invention of any man. I believe it. I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it. I believe in God the Father, Almighty maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son, our Lord. I believe in the Holy Spirit, one holy church, one holy communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins. I believe in the resurrection. I believe in a life that never ends. I believe what I believe. That makes me what I am. I did not make it. No, it is making me. No, I did not make it. No, it is making me. I said I did not make it. No, it is making me. It's the very truth of God and not the invention of any man. I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it. I don't know this I believe it part. Do y'all know this? Come on, help me out. I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it. Believe it, I believe it. I did not make it. Oh, it is making me. No, I did not make it. Oh, it is making me. I said I did not make it. No, it is making me. It's the very truth of God and not the invention of any man.
Wow.
That was fun.
That's 3 of the best songs I've ever heard in my life right there.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
He out-Dylan'd Bob
Oh,
Dylan.
no, that's ridiculous to try to put all those words in there.
And you know, I don't think anybody was properly tapping their foot to that song. I don't think it's possible to tap.
There's not one.
There's not. No, there's not. There's no way to do it. Don Donohue, come back up here. Up in the booth. Kay, would you pull the picture up? That's the group shot. It's the one that's labeled Brian, but it's got like 8 people in the picture. It was taken at a Christmas party. I want to show that one. Or not. We don't have to look at it. Either way. And I didn't prepare you. I'm sorry I did this. I'm just kind of throwing this on you. If you just want to pull up the Brian pictures and we can go through them real quickly. Or not.
This will be really good, won't it?
This will be great.
See, it's I took it from Gary. I'm saving you.
Here it is. This
is
picture.
that the zoo?
Isn't that something?
Good
This was.
grief, look at those coats.
And Kim was just. I know. This is Christmas.
Yeah.
That's Rich on the left with a haircut. I think it's about as short as I ever saw his. He's covered now. I think it's as short as I ever saw his hair. Pam Mark-Hall standing next to him. Kim Hill, which as she was telling me a while ago, this is Christmas '88. This was the first day we met.
Billy introduced me.
Billy Sprague, who's there on the right in the great sweater on the standing on the right there.
I knitted that myself.
Did you?
That was in his fancy bachelor days.
Wonder why he was single for so long.
Heidi Brown, who was radio relations, incredible lady, lives in New York now, and Michelle, what was her? Pruitt. Michelle Pruitt, yeah, that's right. Carmen, at that time, I forgot her maiden name.
Miranda.
Carmen Miranda.
Hey, she's got her rights. Hey.
No, that's not right. You had me go. No, Carmen.
It was just
Menard.
Menard.
Carmen Menard.
Just Carmen.
Now Jeff Mosley's wife does Carmen
We used
Mosley.
to date Reed before she was married. I mean, I have the whole. We have like 7 degrees of separation with everybody.
That's the Rich Mullins
Billy,
3 tribute
Billy
song.
dated Amy there for a while.
Who?
Didn't you date Amy? Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Why'd you stop?
And Melinda Sprague. Good night, everybody. Okay. Melinda Scruggs Gales on the lower right-hand corner there. That was pretty much the reunion gang that came to the Christmas party that year. That was wonderful. Where were you, Don?
88?
Uh-huh.
You got here September 1, 88. You started work for me.
I was in
September
6th
1.
grade.
6th grade.
Yeah.
6th grade.
He was carrying Billy's guitar.
That's right.
Back
I
then.
wasn't invited to that party, apparently. I was at home
I think you were
putting his other sweaters in drawers
You were
so that they didn't stack too high on one side.
Well,
Billy
he just
liked
needs
that
to learn
as well.
from Terry how to fold
He
sweaters.
taught Terry Hemmings that about his sweaters.
That would work.
I don't think Terry would have worn that sweater.
Yeah, I guess. Don, you prepared something for tonight. I asked you to share some memories.
I prepared something for today, and I've got 1,000 great memories of Rich, and like I said, I was fortunate to have the front row seat, but I started thinking today, what was it that connected me so much to him? And I think it's because his ability to write and view God in nature always moved me, and it moves me still when people can do that. And I think as my son and I had a small breakdown in tears over there when Carolyn was singing Jacob and Two Women, I don't know what the words mean either, but they sure were beautiful. So I'm enjoying the music so much tonight. It's kind of gotten to me, but I thought there's a line from a song where he refers to himself as a good Midwestern boy. And I think one of the reasons that I identified with Rich was I was a Midwestern boy. I don't know how good I was, but I was raised in the Midwest. And then I thought later that Reed Arvin was from Kansas. I'm from Missouri. Rich is from Indiana. There was a lot of no nonsense in our studio discussions and things like that. There wasn't a lot of glad handing, but it was really great dialogue, and it was to the point. And I came on reunion, and Mike Blanton kind of assigned the roster. Everybody but Gary. Mike insisted on keeping Gary, but I got Rich, and so Reed and I went to Los Angeles to visit his tour. which I don't know how the horse and wagons got out over the mountains at that point, but we got there. Reed and I flew, of course, and we were at a church in Downey, California, visiting his tour in June of 1991. It was before we were starting the record, The World as Best as I Remember It, Volume 1. And he was trying out some new songs, and he sang these lines about Jesus. Did you grow up hungry? Did you grow up fast? Did the little girls giggle when you walked past? Did you wonder what it was that made them laugh? Did you wrestle with the dog and lick his nose? Did you play beneath the spray of a water hose? Did you ever make angels in the winter snow? It was a song called Boy Like Me, Man Like You, and I had never thought of my personal Savior as a 7-year-old boy. And the images that these are all of us as little kids. These are the images that we grew up with. He really locked me in June of 1991 with those words, and I realized that as a good Midwestern kid, those were all the things that I did. Some of my favorite memories of his, and some of us who are fortunate enough to tour with him know about his intermission drives. When the crowd would still be singing a chorus, he would run out into the Jeep and we'd take a drive around town so he could have a smoke before he could get back to the second one. And those were some of the better theological discussions that you get in, because he's on stage, he's primed, he was going, and it was really a wonderful, wonderful time. And I connected these things through the Midwest with him. I always visited him there, and I'll never look at a cornfield the same, because I used to look at them as bland, and now I see them as beautiful, because he forced me to sit in his truck with Beaker and drive through the Badlands and see all of the beauty that, you know, to the untrained eye might just be dirt, but to Rich and Beaker and those guys, it was great. In September of '97, I got that call that Saturday morning from Terry, and that kind of threw our lives into a tailspin. And my wife was pregnant at the time, and she came out to the front yard. I was mowing the lawn, and she said, "Terry's on the phone and something's wrong. I don't know." And I picked it up, and Terry told me, and our lives were changed. And 48 hours later, we were meeting friends to drive to Richmond, Indiana to go to the family funeral. And before we went there, my wife and I had an ultrasound. We were 20 weeks along. And we went to the ultrasound, and the lady put the wand on my wife's tummy, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know we were looking at twins." And I said, "I didn't know that either." And so we really were in this emotional upheaval, and then thrown on top of this, I felt like I was in a Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something, all these things throwing at me about colleges and weddings and all the money that I'm going to be spending. And later that night, we were driving in the car, Reed was driving, and we were probably halfway up there, and my wife was in the back, and I was stressed, and I was kind of sad, and she said, just from the back, she said, "Honey, thank the Lord, because he's been doubly good to us," which was a great line of Rich's. And this is one of the twins. This is Brennan, who wanted to be up here, and this is his sister, Kara. And just so we don't have counseling bills later, Baker, you can wave your hand and say hi to everybody. So those are great memories of Rich's. And Brian, thank you for having me tonight.
All right. Oh, he had toothpicks in his hand earlier. I'm glad he got rid of them. All right, some more footage from Reed's just great video. And if you've never been in a recording studio, you're gonna see some things that take place, and you're gonna hear some like conversations and just the camaraderie that takes place. It's just real commonplace to the folks here on stage, but you're gonna get to meet some of the people, and this footage is on the record, The World as Best as I Remember It, Volume 1. Was it both, Reed, or one? One of them. And so just enjoy this, and you'll meet some of the people, and the edits are very rough, but you just get to enjoy seeing some of the people involved and seeing Rich involved. Here you go.
Go somewhere else. Some people call me Space Cowboy.
Cousin.
Well, we won't get into that.
Yeah, it's too close to home, isn't it? Oops. You want to get? You want to just get your line?
Well, yeah.
Sound great.
He's talking to this slime ball promoter, but Garth has been selling out everywhere.
Trying to match Rich.
Kevin Smith.
Rich has it more.
Give us a little vocal since we didn't get you.
I'm trying to figure out what this is right here.
Don't cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you why.
So their mother-in-law comes over, then they go, oh Lord. Charlie's crying.
Where'd he go?
That's going to look
I've
great.
been to most places that said the Gerald Ford machine.
Everybody in the living room is going to be throwing up.
There's one little place for this. You know what I mean is?
Can you show me that again?
Okay.
Other tracks, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm afraid I'll...
Billy, got a song.
Repeat after me. Lord, you're leading me with a cloud by day. You know this one? It's a Rich Mullins song. Slow it down a little bit for you. It's like a class reunion, isn't it, here? Lord, you're leading me with a cloud by day, and in the night, glow of a burning flame. And everywhere I go, I see you. 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 And you take my hand, and you take my hand, and you wash it clean. I know the promised land, light years ahead of me. And everywhere I go, I see you. Everywhere I go, I see you. Everywhere I go, I see you. Everywhere I go, come on. Everywhere I go, I see you. 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 And the eagle flies, and the rivers run. I look through the night, I can see the rising sun. Everywhere I go, I see you. 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 I see you. And the grass will die,
the grass will die,
and the flowers fall,
and the flowers fall.
But your words are light.
But your words are light.
It will be after all.
Will be after all.
Everywhere I go, I see you.
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 Everywhere I go, I see you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways, and step by step you'll lead me, and I will follow you all of my days, and I will follow you all of my days.
That's great.
Reed Arvin, come on back up here. Okay, sorry I didn't prep you again.
Thanks, Bill.
Hand off. The Reed pictures. I want us to, if we could just get the teepee pictures. We need to.
Yeah,
We
the
need to see
teepee
those.
stuff.
The teepee stuff.
Yeah. My parents are here tonight. Actually, they had a farm in Kansas, and Rich bought this teepee and was looking for a place to put it, and so they graciously allowed him to build it on their property. So you would drive by, and it was a real double take because you would see an actual flippin' teepee right there. But what was interesting was when you went in, it was the luxury RV teepee. I could not believe the inside of this teepee. I went in, and there was like, he had a kind of a running water thing.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Running
there
water.
it is. And you know, sort of facilities and a stove, and it was pretty full on. It really was. And it fell over a few times too. And that, didn't it? It took a few tries to get it to stay.
Oh man, about what year would this have been, Mr. Arvin? Do you remember what year? About?
It was there for a couple of years, I think. Yeah, it might have been around 90.
Tourists stopping by and just the whole
around
thing.
90 or so, I guess. Well, it's when he was in college.
Oh, when he went back
when he
to
was
college.
down at Friends, right?
Right.
It was during that time.
It was the year of the big wind.
Yeah. You've talked about this before. There's a wonderful video called the Homeless Man video that there's a clip of you talking about something that really we couldn't talk about until Rich passed. Only a few people knew about this. I'd heard a rumor that it was true, but it was how Rich handled his money. You just mentioned that he bought this teepee, and it's kind of funny. And my story is, I knew that he loved the Hammer Dulcimer music. I knew that he loved the Beatles music, and somebody gave me a CD of Beatle music played on the Hammer Dulcimer, and I thought, oh, I'm saving this for Rich. So at a Christmas party, maybe that one, I gave it to him, and he said, oh, thanks, I don't have a CD player, which very much surprised me. Here's a guy who's written all this music, and I'm sure made a lot of money doing what he was doing. But you revealed something in that video that was very interesting. Share it with us.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, I did.
That was
You set me up.
Actually, yeah. Well, one time in the studio, I can't remember what record it was we were making, but this is sort of a tacky question, but after so many years, and these guys know when you're making a record, the hours are incredibly long. And so I asked him what would normally be a somewhat inappropriate question, which was along the lines of a typical quarter, publishing income is paid quarterly. And I said, what are you making these days? What's a typical quarter for you, publishing income-wise? And he said, I don't know. And that didn't surprise me in a way. So I said, well, where do the checks go? I thought, well, I'll go back and work backwards. So I said, where do the checks go? And he said, well, they go to my church. And I said, okay. And he said, well, how much are they? And he said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I think at that time, it was, I can't remember how much it was. It was a couple of $1,000s a month, I think, he was getting paid. And all of the rest, he said, all of the rest goes to how they want to spend it. And I said, well, but how much is it? And he said, I don't know, but if I knew, it'd be a lot harder to give away. So I'm specifically, don't tell me how much it is. And what was interesting about that is in later years, I think he got down to 1,000. He actually went down to $1,000 a month. And to me, the impact of that was the freedom you get from that. Because if you go into an A&R meeting, not that Don would ever do this, but if you go into an A&R meeting and somebody was to say, well, if only you could write another awesome God, that would be, we could really, ching on that. To which he would say, I'm going to make my $1,000 a month either way. You know what I mean? So we'll record these songs. Yeah. You really buy your freedom that way. And he was incredibly free because he paid the price to live that way.
Talk about the process between the producer and the artist, what that's about. He would bring songs. We talked about this yesterday some. He would bring songs to you, play them for you live kind of a thing, and you have to do what? Describe the process. Well,
Rich would usually have songs either play live or have boombox recordings, which he would make sort of in the house he lived with Beaker in. And they were always really rough, but they had the stuff, They had the magic. And, people have said some nice things about what I did with Rich, but the fact is, when you have great songs, there's a lot of ways you can go and not mess it up. And if you don't have a good song, you're killing yourself trying to figure out how to get it up on its feet. And the fact is, the songs were so good. You had the feeling of what a privilege to be able to work on this, so.
We're going to watch some footage now. Let me double check, make sure I'm on the right page here. Yes, we are. The Benson Studios over at Great Circle Drive and Metro Center. I don't know, what is it? Is it still standing? What are they doing with that building now? Anybody know?
The building's there, but I don't think it's doing that anymore.
It was a tremendous studio. That's where you would do strings. That's where you would do large...
No, that's where you do strings if you didn't have any money.
Oh, okay. All right.
It wasn't that great.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was a cool
pretty
studio.
good.
For a while it was.
Well, never
We're
mind.
older than you are. There was a time that it was really a cool one.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the earth cooled and things changed.
No, it was a nice room. It really was.
I remember asking when we talked yesterday, I said the process, because the footage we're going to see right now is very unique, it's very interesting, but Rich doesn't appear in any of it. And I asked you, now didn't Rich hang around during the recording?
No, it was a real frustration to me because I like the artist to be there all the time. Because to me, making a record is doing stuff and watching the face of the artist. And if they're smiling, then that must be the right thing. And if they're not smiling, then that's definitely not the right thing. But, Rich kept a real distance from the recording process. I've thought a lot about why. But we were talking the other day about how after 8 records, he pretended as though he still didn't know anything about what anything did, like any of the buttons or anything. And you would have to have learned, just absorbed
Osmosis.
Yeah.
Something.
But and I think part of it was that it bored him to listen to a guitar player play 8 times and 50 times, and presented with the option of doing that or going out to Ashland City and hanging out with his friends. That was real easy for him. So sometimes he would weigh in real heavy on for example, I don't remember exactly what this was, but this is classic Rich. He asked me one time about an album cover. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "I think it's fine." He said, "What do you think about the shoes?" And I said, "And you can have to check this out." But I said, "I don't know, they're fine." He said, "They're the same shoes I wore on this other album cover. I don't remember what the records was." And I go, "Cool, you know." And he said, no, bro, listen. On the first album cover, they're clean. But on this one, they're dirty. But whether or not we put orchestra on Creed never came up. Right.
Didn't make a bit of difference.
Yeah.
I was telling Reed, I think I said earlier, folks, when I watch this footage you're about to watch, I think this is my favorite part.
It's my favorite shirt, that's for sure.
My favorite shirt of Reed's, that's for sure. It made me want to go out and listen to the CD again because I never heard strings in there before, and I never heard this incredible gospel choir put together singing backup on what's the
Just Shall Live.
The Just Shall Live. Yeah. Oh, and now when I listen to it, I hear it. I definitely hear it. But it's just those little tiny nuances that maybe you didn't catch before. And now after watching this, maybe you'll get it next time. Anything else to add?
You hear a lot of that it's first run when the strings are playing. You hear a lot of mistakes and stuff. But yeah.
Let's watch it. Oh, and Reed narrates.
Here's the piano tuner.
What a crappy looking room that
David
is.
Martin, second engineer extraordinaire. Getting ready for our strings and choir.
I think this is sometimes by step.
Second chorus, raise him up. Okay. You know how everyone. Okay.
White man singing.
Just shall live. I know the just shall live. Have faith. And you will raise them up. I know that you will raise them up. You will raise them up. Time testifies.
So the whole thing is, these are the chords.
You have to imagine how white I felt in that moment.
Isn't that incredible? And you're going to go home and you're going to listen to the Just Shall Live and you're going to listen to the ooh-oohs and you're going to go, I know where those came from. I watched that happen. That's cool. Oh, yeah, Reed, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I need to say this, too, because this is very personal stuff to Reed, and for him to share that with us, it means an awful lot. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us.
But just to clarify, those of us who have known Reed for a long, long time, that whole thing about them knowing each other a long time and the long hours they put in at the studio, and you get to that point of vulnerability where you can ask that awkward question. Back then, Reed could sleep 12 hours, get up, have 2 or 3 cups of coffee, and ask that question. Right then.
Busted. Gary's part, you're Jiminy Cricket tonight. You're the conscience. That's what you are. That's what you're here for tonight. Absolutely. Thank you. Carolyn, you have a song for us?
I'm going to do... I wasn't planning on doing this song, and then last night I got to thinking about when we started the Brothers Keepers tour. The whole tour was booked in La Quinta hotels. Rich's manager had cut some kind of deal to get Sam's warehouse points by booking the whole tour through La Quinta, but she did it through the corporate office. And so what they would do is they would put us in the least full La Quinta in every city that we went into. So you'd be driving into town, you'd see the venue, and then you'd see the first La Quinta, and that's not ours. And you keep driving, and you'd say, no, that one's not ours. And finally, whenever you got to the barrio or the ghetto or what have you of that city,
La Quinta.
The La Quinta, which I don't speak Spanish, being Canadian, and at first I was told it means next to Denny's.
It does.
But it's been officially changed to far from venue.
Yeah.
That's what it means. But anyways, just the very first night before the first show, we were in a La Quinta, and they gathered us up, everybody in the Ragamuffins and the opening acts and the crew and everybody in this room off the lobby of the La Quinta, and we took communion together. And I was thinking about the way we started the tour, and it reminded me of this song. So let's see if I can play it. Though we're strangers, still I love you.
I love you more than your mask. And you know you have to trust this to be true. And I know that's much to ask. But lay down your fears. Come and join the feast. He has called us here, you and me. And may peace rain down from heaven like little pieces of the sky, little keepers of the promise, falling on the souls this drought has dried. In his blood and in his body, in the bread and in the wine. Peace to you. Peace of Christ to you. Though I love you, still we're strangers, prisoners in these lonely hearts. Though our blindness separates us, still his light shines in the dark. And his outstretched arms are still strong enough to reach behind these prison bars, set us free. So may peace rain down from heaven like little pieces from the sky, little keepers of the promise, falling on these souls the drought has dried. In his blood and in his body, in the bread and in the wine. Peace to you. Peace of Christ to you. May peace rain down from heaven like little pieces of the sky, little keepers of the promise, falling on the souls the drought has dried. In his blood and in his body, in the bread and in the wine. Peace to you. Peace of Christ to you. Peace to you. Peace of Christ to you.
Oh, that was great. I want to go back to the Terry Hemmings video here for just a second. Ask him just to share some stories, and he talks about Awesome God, and I got to say the same thing that throws him in the song Awesome God threw me as a radio person too. Is there a line in there that anybody thinks of, that Awesome God, that made you go, what did he just say? What's the line? I can't hear you. Putting on the Ritz. It's like, whoa, what is this? I didn't understand this at all. It was rich, but apparently I was not alone in this. So Terry Hemmings, just sharing some memories. By the way, Terry, to remind you, was the president and CEO of Reunion Records from '87 to '96. He is now currently the president and CEO of Provident Music Group.
He's back.
Right. All right. Let's watch this clip.
Yeah, I remember arguing with him when he brought in Awesome God the very first time. And we'd had a bit of a rocky kind of production week anyway with that record. And as a matter of fact, at a point, I wanted to shut the production down and kind of square some things up. But he brought in the song, and it had this line about putting on the Ritz in it, and which clearly we thought was not going to work for church, and can never be a song the church will embrace. We'll never get it in print unless you change that line. And Rich was very passionate about his songwriting, obviously, and felt like every word he'd been given in the writing process was the word, and so we had quite a debate over that. A not so funny story, but a really poignant moment. We were in Ireland. I can't remember what year we were shooting the Legacy video with Steve Taylor and Ben Pearson. Don Donohue and I were there with Rich, and a couple of funny things. We were driving through Ireland. I think there were only 6-7 hours of daylight, and Steve and the production crew were in a van in front of us with a guy named Brennan, who was our guide, and we were on the west coast where the roads are about the width of this coffee table, or this conference table, and we were doing 120K, I don't know what it was, and we were in a rented Toyota, and Don and I were in the front. I, of course, was driving on the wrong side, and Rich and Beaker were in the back. And we completely, every time we pass a bus, I just hugged the left side, and the paint, the rearview mirror, and everything had come off the car. We went to turn it in, and the guy said, you know what, I'll just rent it to another American because they all come back like this. But on that trip, my grandmother died. And we had been to a pub in Ennis. We were in Ennis, and Rich and Beaker had taken their most unusual instruments on this trip. And this pub band started to play, and so they asked if they could join them, and they went back to the hotel and got 20 of their most unusual instruments. And played probably until about 2 or 3 in the morning. It was great fun to watch them interact. Of course, I became best friends with these band members. But I got back to the hotel, and there was a message that my wife had called. And so I called her back. Rich and I were in my room kind of catching up on some things because he didn't like to sleep. And I finally got my wife on the phone, and she told me my grandmother died, with Rich sitting there. So I told him, you know, my grandmother died. And he said, you know what, that's great. Good for her. And, you know, most people would take that really poorly, but knowing Rich and kind of his view on eternity and, you know, to some degree, his misery with having to be here, it made a lot of sense to me. And, you know, there were 10 moments probably, and I think everyone has a number of them where Rich really engages on a personal level. Sometimes he says the right thing, and sometimes he says the wrong thing, but you know he's speaking from his heart, and he's looking you in the eye. And it just was kind of important to me.
That's special. Who's next? Kim, and one of my favorite Rich Mullins songs.
You know, when I probably knew Rich the least of anybody up here, although I was on the same label with him and everything. I never got to tour with him, and I was honestly a little just thought he was so weird and stuff that I didn't want to get too close. And I look back now at just in my, you know, stupidity of the age that I was, I just totally didn't get Rich, you know, and I just didn't understand because he was so different from everybody else in Christian music that I had met. And you know, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that Rich just was just way ahead of me. I just was, you know, took a while to catch up. But I love the song, and when I first heard that Rich died, I thought of the line of the song, you know, that when I leave, I want to go out like Elijah, and I thought, you know, he pretty much did. Yep. And I thought how wild that was, but this song makes me think of him. You gonna help me, Billy? because I cannot play like Carolyn. So. Jordan is waiting for me to cross through. My heart is aging, I can tell. So Lord, I'm begging for one last favor from you. Sorry. So Lord, I'm begging for one last favor from you. Sorry, I can't do this last little part here. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's weird phrasing.
It is weird.
I'll do it. Go ahead.
Sorry.
It was weird.
Here's
Yeah,
my
it was
heart.
inside.
And take it where you will. Please invite me when you sing the choruses, okay? Because that's what I know. Sorry. This life has shown me how we're mended and how we're torn. How it's okay to be lonely as long as you're free. Sometimes my ground was stony, sometimes covered up with thorns. Only you could make it what it had to be. Now that it's done, if they dress me like a pauper, or if they dye me like a prince, and if they lay me with my fathers, or if my ashes scatter on the wind, I don't care. 'Cause when I leave, I wanna go out like Elijah, with the whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. And when I look back on the stars, it'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. And it won't break my heart to say goodbye. There's people been friendly, but they'll never be your friends. Sometimes this has been me to the ground. Now that all this is ending, I wanna hear some music once again. 'Cause it's the finest thing that I have ever found. But the Jordan is waiting, though I ain't never seen the other side. Still they say that you can't take in the things you have here. So the road to salvation, I stick out my thumb and it'll give me a ride. And the music is already falling on my ears. Here we go. There's people been talking, they say they're worried about my soul. But I'm here to tell you, I keep rocking till I'm sure it's my time to roll. When I do, when I leave, I'm gonna go out like Elijah, with the whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. And when I look back on the stars, it'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. And it won't break my heart to say goodbye. 'Cause when I leave, I wanna go out like Elijah, with the whirlwind to fuel my chariot of fire. And when I look back on the stars, it'll be like a candlelight in Central Park. And it won't break my heart to say goodbye. No, it won't break my heart to say goodbye. Won't break my heart to say goodbye. Won't break my heart to say goodbye.
Thanks, Kim. Folks, we've got one more song we're going to do before we get out of here. The evening's running a little longer than than the clock was set up for. But I had one thing that I don't even have on the program that I wanted to do. I want to introduce a lady who feeds me a lot of pictures and information. I've known her for a long time. Connie Hawk. Connie, come up here. Welcome her up, please. Connie lives in the house now that Rich owned in Bellsburg, right?
Yeah, way out in the country, yeah.
way out there. This is a house that when he did the show one time, in fact, I guess every year this happened for his birthday, 1 million people, well, let's get real, probably 60, 80, 100 people would show up.
At least, yeah. And one bathroom, yeah.
One bathroom, yeah, for all these people, which was really something. She shared with me something one time. I wanted her to read this line, this paragraph from this, and explain what this is from.
Well, actually, I forgot I even sent you this. I've got to be careful what I send you now.
Good idea.
Over the years, I've sent you lots of videos and letters and pictures and things that we've gotten from different people. And I didn't plan to get up here and speak at all. When I walked through the door this evening, he grabbed me. So he's forcing me to read a little bit here. But yeah, Rich, the house that I live in, Rich bought 20 years ago. And way before, the big fame and all. It's an old hillbilly farmhouse, way out about 30 miles from here out in the country. And he, of course, I've knew him for years, met him in 77, way before he ever got in the crazy music business. And he bought the house when he got more settled here in Nashville, and then when he decided to move out to Kansas, he wanted somebody to take care of it for him. So I've been the caretaker of his house for years and years, and when he passed away, his mother gave me the house. So, but we've had a ministry there for years and years. And so he still would come visit a lot and bring a lot of folks out to the country and visit, and of course, he did a lot of writing at the house through the years when he lived there and when he lived away, and was always bringing lots of friends. And actually, this is a letter that he wrote sitting on the front porch. He wrote it, I'm thinking 89 or 90. And it's much, much longer than this, but obviously you've got a couple of paragraphs that you kept that you're forcing me to read here. Anyhow,
this is two.
Well, it's a letter that was written to a dear friend of ours, and then after Rich passed away, she sent me some of the letters, and I forgot I even had it until you just brought this up. So it's stashed away in some things, but obviously songwriters like to write in the wee hours of the morning, so. This letter is written in the middle of the night, sitting on the front porch way out in the country where the house is. And so I don't know if it'll make sense. It's part of a bigger letter. So it says, but it is past 3:30 a.m. now, and sleep is stealing me away. Tomorrow came 3.5 hours ago, and most people missed it. And when tomorrow has become later today, I will want to be there, and when tomorrow is past, I will want to remember it. So all of my life passes by me this way, and when I am buried, I suspect I will turn my head in my grave and press my ear toward heaven so that I can rest in the sound of its conversations and ride on that sound somehow home. And then he signed it, Richard Wayne Mullins. So that's just part of the letter.
Thanks, Connie. Thank you for sharing that. I want to say now, thank you for being here tonight to this second annual Rich Mullins tribute. We'll probably continue on as long as there seems to be interest, and there does. Thanks to our friends that are listening on the web tonight. Thanks to these incredible players, Billy Sprague, Kim Hill, Carolyn, Arends, Gary Chapman, thank you for being here. Steve Latanation's on the percussions tonight. And thank you for being here. Next month at the Lighthouse, the second Friday next month, Michael Card will be here. 2 months from now, Phil Keggy will be here. So we want to see you back.
And as soon as we finish up here, we're going to take a little break, and then the Buddy Holly tribute will start up. It should be good.
Yeah, that's happening at Gary's house afterwards, so yeah.
See?
Take it.
Sometimes my life just don't make sense at all. When the mountains look so big, my faith just seems so small. So hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like a leaf. You have been King of my glory. Won't you be my Prince of Peace? When I wake up in the night and feel the dark, it's so hot inside my soul, I swear there are blisters on my heart. So hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like a leaf. You have been King of my glory. Won't you be my Prince of Peace? Surrender don't come natural for me. I'd rather fight you for something I don't really want, something you have that I need. And I beat my head against so many walls, and I'm falling down, falling on my knees. And the Salvation Army band is playing this hymn, and your grace rings out so deep, makes our resistance seem so thin. So hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like a leaf. You have been King of my glory. Won't you be my Prince
Sing that with
of
us.
Peace? Come on and hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like a leaf. You've been King of my glory. Won't you be my Prince of Peace? 'Cause you've been King of my glory. Won't you be my Prince of Peace? Come on and hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like a leaf. Come on and hold me, Jesus, 'cause I'm shaking like I'm shaking like a leaf.
Billy Sprague, Kim Hill, Carolyn Arends.